Margaret lived to be 103 years old. She wasn't a health fanatic. She never followed a trendy diet. She didn't jog or meditate. But every morning she opened her curtains, whispered a small thank you to no one in particular, and brewed her tea while listening to the birds. When people asked her the secret to her long life, she smiled with a kind of peace you don't often see in people. And she said, longevity isn't about trying to live forever. It's about loving the fact that you're still here. There's something hauntingly beautiful about that answer, isn't there? Because deep down, many of us wonder, why do some people live long lives filled with clarity and calm, while others fade far too soon? Is it fate, genes, luck, or are there signs? Quiet signals in how we live, feel, think, and connect. Signs that show whether we are quietly building a life that goes far beyond the average. If you're over 60, you've probably thought about it. You've probably looked at your reflection or at someone you know who passed away too early and asked, will I be next? How much time do I really have? The truth is, we don't control time, but we do influence how it flows through us. And science has begun to uncover something remarkable. In global studies from places like Okinawa, Sardinia, and Loma Linda, researchers have identified patterns, small, consistent signals in people who live beyond 100. Not just long lives, but lives that remain vibrant, steady, and filled with quiet joy. These are not the things you see in flashy health ads. They're often invisible to the eye, and yet they are powerful. If you're still waking up with something to look forward to, if you still pause to feel grateful, if you still care about being here, even when your body aches a little more than it used to, then this video is for you, because you may already carry inside you some of the strongest predictors of longevity. Let's explore them together, one by one. Are you ready? The first sign is emotional stability. Not the kind of forced calm that hides pain, but a true steadiness of heart. Researchers from Northwestern University followed a group of adults for over 20 years. They found that those who lived the longest had something in common. They didn't let anger, anxiety, or sadness take over their days. That doesn't mean they never felt those things. It means they learned to let them pass. If you've reached a point in life where you no longer argue over every disagreement, where you choose peace over proving a point, that's not weakness. That's wisdom, and it might just be extending your life. Margaret, the woman who lived to 103, once said that she stopped watching the evening news at 70 because it upset her too much. I chose to protect my peace, she said, and it changed everything. The second sign is having a reason to wake up in the morning. In Japan, they call it ikigai, the thing that gives you purpose. It doesn't have to be something grand. It could be tending to your garden, teaching your granddaughter how to bake your family's old recipes, walking to the mailbox and waving to your neighbor. People who live long lives tend to have something they care about deeply, something they feel responsible for. Something they are still growing even at 80 or 90. In Okinawa, one of the longest living populations in the world, elders often remain active in small daily tasks. They tie their purpose not to productivity, but to presence. It's not about doing more. It's about still having something to do that matters to you. If you wake up and feel needed, or even simply wanted by the world around you, you already carry one of the strongest threads of longevity. The third sign is having at least one close, meaningful relationship. You don't need dozens of friends. You don't need constant phone calls. But if there's someone in your life you can truly be yourself with, someone who listens when you speak, who remembers your birthday, who notices when you're quiet, that connection is more powerful than any pill. In fact, a Harvard study that has followed participants for more than 80 years found that the people who lived the longest weren't necessarily the richest or the most fit. They were the ones who had strong, supportive bonds. Loneliness shortens life, But one good person, a friend, a partner, a neighbor, can become a lifeline. If you have even one person who makes you feel seen, cherished, or safe, hold on to them. That thread of connection might be doing more for your heart than any doctor ever could. 3 signs so far. None of them require perfect health, money, or youth. They ask something deeper. Your peace, your purpose, your connection. Are you beginning to see yourself in any of these? If so, you're not only living, you might be thriving in ways science is just beginning to understand. The 4th sign is healthy sleep patterns. Sleep is not just rest, it is repair. It is your body's chance to reset, to process, to quietly heal what the day may have bruised. People who live past 100 often have consistent, natural sleep habits. They don't rely on pills, they don't scroll through their phones at midnight. They listen to their bodies. In one study, adults who consistently got between 7 and 8 hours of sleep per night were less likely to develop chronic conditions and more likely to maintain mental clarity into old age. But it's not just about how long you sleep. It's about how you feel when you wake up. If you rise feeling refreshed, not groggy or irritable, your body is doing something right. If your sleep has become shallow or restless lately, it's not too late to change that. Creating a bedtime routine, dimming lights, or even simply listening to soft music can signal the body to shift into healing mode. The oldest among us often protect their sleep like sacred time, and that makes a difference. The 5th sign is a habit of gentle, regular movement. No, you don't need to run marathons. In fact, most centenarians never did. But they walk, they stretch, they move slowly, intentionally, with awareness. In the blue zones of the world, regions known for their high percentage of people living past 100, movement is woven into daily life. They don't go to the gym, they garden, they sweep, they dance at family gatherings. Movement becomes part of living, not a separate task. And that's the key. If you still walk to the corner store or stretch in the morning before breakfast, or simply stay on your feet when others choose the couch, those are victories. Small, steady motion is often more powerful than bursts of intense exercise, followed by days of stillness. The 6th sign is curiosity and mental engagement. People who live long lives often remain mentally active, even if their bodies begin to slow down. They read, they ask questions, they stay interested in learning. They might not use smartphones or keep up with technology, but they remain connected to their world through curiosity. Studies have shown that mental activity reduces the risk of cognitive decline. But it's not about solving puzzles or doing brain games. It's about staying open, asking why, how, and what's next. If you find joy in learning, in watching the world unfold, in hearing new stories or telling your own, your mind is staying young, even as the years pass. And finally, the 7th sign is gratitude. Perhaps the most powerful of them all. People who live long, joyful lives do not ignore their pain. They just don't let it define them. They carry grief, but they also carry hope. They see small things, a bird outside the window, a warm meal, a phone call from someone they love, and they feel deeply thankful. Gratitude, researchers have found, is biologically healing. It reduces stress, lowers blood pressure, improves sleep, and strengthens immunity. But more than that, it shifts perspective. If you can find something to be grateful for, even on the days that hurt, you are building a life that invites longevity. Not just a long life, but a good one. So now you know all 7 signs. You don't need to have all of them. Even just a few can make a difference. And the beautiful part, they don't require youth. They don't require perfection. They only require that you still care, that you still try, that you're still here. So now you've heard the 7 signs. Maybe you recognized a few in yourself. Maybe others felt far away. That's okay. Living a long life isn't about scoring perfectly on a checklist. It's about noticing where you already shine and where there's still space to grow. If you're someone who still smiles at small things, who still gets curious about the world, who still wakes up each day with a whisper of purpose, even if it's just feeding the cat or opening the blinds, then you are living with intention. And that is rare and precious. People often talk about longevity as if it's a race against time, but maybe that's the wrong way to look at it. Maybe it's not about outliving others, but about outloving the years you've been given. Longevity, real longevity, is not just in the body. It's in the spirit. It's in how you carry yourself through the hard days. It's in the way you sit quietly with your own thoughts and feel at peace. It's in the love you continue to give, even when it's not always returned. If you've reached this point in life, whether 60 or 90, you've already survived more than many. You've felt loss, you've rebuilt, you've stayed when others walked away, and yet you're still here, still becoming. So here's a gentle reminder. It's not too late, not to walk more slowly, not to forgive, not to stretch, not to call someone first, not to rest, not to laugh again, and not to live longer. If this video reminded you of something you needed to hear or made you feel a little less alone, I invite you to share your thoughts, because someone else may read your words and feel stronger too. You are not invisible. You are not past your prime. You are a story still unfolding. And if there's one quiet truth in all the science and studies about living to 100, it's this. The people who live the longest are the ones who still believe they matter. So breathe deep. You still do. If this video spoke to your heart, if it reminded you that your story isn't over yet, then I invite you to walk this path with us. Here on Golden Pathways, we share gentle truths, healing thoughts, and quiet wisdom for those who have lived long enough to know what truly matters. We don't chase youth here. We honor age, memory, and meaning. So if you'd like more moments like this, more reminders that you're not alone, that your voice still matters, and that life after 60 can still be rich, deep, and beautiful, then I hope you'll subscribe. Not for us, but for you. To give your soul a little more space to breathe, we'll be here, waiting, with stories worth hearing, and a quiet place for hearts like yours to rest.